The Talon-class orbital defense platform shuddered as another energy blast struck its shields. Admiral Han Juwu gripped the command console, her knuckles white. Earth's final defensive line was collapsing around her. Shield integrity at 23%, reported Lieutenant Kim Do-yeon, his voice steady despite the chaos. The Vrex flagship is moving into position for another volley. Through the viewport, Han could see the alien armada, hundreds of crystalline vessels arranged in perfect geometric formations. For 3 weeks, they had systematically dismantled Earth's defenses, crushing the unified fleets of humanity with minimal losses. Han brushed a strand of black hair from her face, smearing the blood from a cut on her forehead. The command center was filled with smoke and the occasional spark from damaged systems. Half her crew was dead. The rest worked frantically, knowing each moment might be their last. "Status on the lunar batteries?" Han asked. Captain Ba looked up from his console, his face grim. "Gone, Admiral." Lunar Base Artemis fell 20 minutes ago. Han closed her eyes briefly. 10,000 personnel. The most advanced weapon systems Earth had ever produced. Gone. A warning klaxon blared throughout the station. Han felt it in her bones, the distinctive vibration of the station's main cannon firing. The massive railgun was their last effective weapon against the Vrex shields. "Direct hit on the Vrex destroyer," announced Weapons Officer Jang, a rare note of triumph in her voice. "Target disabled." A cheer went up from the exhausted crew, but Han didn't join in. One destroyer among hundreds. It wouldn't change anything. "Admiral," called Senior Technician Park Min-ha from the sensor station. "We're detecting spatial anomalies at the edge of the system. Something's coming through." Han moved to the holographic display. "More Vrex reinforcements." "Negative. These signatures are different." Park's eyes widened. "Ships, Admiral. Black ships. Dozens of them, now hundreds, appearing through what appear to be spatial rifts." Han studied the readings. The new vessels were unlike anything in Earth's database. They moved with impossible precision, their hulls seeming to absorb light rather than reflect it. "Can we communicate with them?" Han asked. Communications Officer Ryu shook his head. "We're broadcasting on all frequencies." No response. The main communication channel crackled to life. The translated voice of the Vrex commander filled the command center. "Humans of Earth, your resistance has been noted and found wanting. You have 24 Earth hours to surrender unconditionally before planetary bombardment commences." The message was punctuated by another hit to the station's shields. Warning lights flashed as power fluctuated throughout the platform. "Shields at 12%, Kim reported. "One more direct hit and we're exposed." As the transmission ended, Lieutenant Kim pointed to the tactical display. "Admiral, the unknown vessels, they're moving toward the Vrex fleet at incredible speed." Han watched as the mysterious black ships, sleek and predatory, accelerated toward Earth. Salvation or a new threat? They would know soon enough. "Pull up visual," Han ordered. The main screen flickered, then stabilized on an image that made the entire command center fall silent. The black ships were unlike any vessel Han had ever seen. Their hulls appeared to be made of some material that absorbed light, giving them a depth that seemed impossible. They moved with a fluid grace that defied the laws of physics. "They're engaging the Vrex," exclaimed Lieutenant Kim. "Look at their speed. It's impossible." Han watched in awe as the first black ship sliced through a Vrex cruiser like it was made of paper. No weapons fire was visible. The black vessel simply passed through the alien ship, which then split apart in a silent explosion. "Get me everything we have on these new ships," Han ordered, "and keep broadcasting. I want to know who they are and what they want." Park worked frantically at her console. "Admiral, I'm detecting energy signatures similar to ancient artifacts recovered in the Gobi Desert excavation. The same patterns found in hieroglyphs across Earth." Han frowned. "You're saying these ships are connected to those artifacts? That's impossible. Those relics are thousands of years old. The pattern match is undeniable." Park insisted. It's as if. She was cut off as the station rocked violently. Han was thrown to the floor, alarms blaring from every console. Direct hit, Kim shouted. Shields have failed. Hull breach on decks 5 through 9. Han pulled herself up, blood trickling from a fresh cut on her temple. Seal those sections. Emergency protocols. Through the viewport, Han could see the massive Vrex flagship advancing on their position, its crystalline structure glowing with gathered energy for a killing blow. This was it. The end of Talon Station, possibly the end of Earth's last organized resistance. Then something incredible happened. 3 black ships appeared directly between the station and the Vrex flagship. They moved in perfect formation. And as the Vrex fired, the black ships seemed to absorb the energy beam completely. What just happened? Han demanded. They took the hit for us, Kim said in disbelief. They protected us. Before Han could respond, the communication system came to life again. This time, the voice was human, a woman speaking accented but clear Korean. Talon Station. This is Commander Shin Yuna of the stellar guardian vessel Knight's Embrace. Hold your position. We are engaging the Vrex fleet. Han rushed to the communications panel. This is Admiral Han Jiwoo. Who are you? Where did you come from? There was a pause before the response came. We are the children of Earth's first star travelers, Admiral. We have returned to defend our ancestral home. The entire command center watched in stunned silence as the black ships tore through the Vrex fleet with impossible efficiency. Where Earth's most advanced weapons had barely scratched the alien vessels, these black ships cut through them with ease. Admiral, Park whispered, the ancient texts. They spoke of obsidian vessels that sailed the void and promised to return when darkness threatened the cradle. Han stared at the black ships, humanity's mysterious saviors, as they decimated the alien armada that had nearly conquered Earth. Send to all Earth forces, Han ordered, her voice firm despite her shock. Stand ready to assist our allies. The fight for Earth isn't over yet. Outside, more spatial rifts opened, disgorging dozens more black ships. Earth, it seemed, was not as alone in the universe as they had believed. Professor Lee Jinwoo carefully brushed dust from the stone tablet. The underground chamber in Egypt had remained sealed for millennia, until the Vrex invasion prompted desperate excavations of anomalous sites around the world. This can't be right, he muttered, comparing the hieroglyphs to similar findings from Peru, China, and Antarctica. Dr. Kang Yunji looked over his shoulder. What is it? The air in the chamber was stale and heavy with history. Portable lights cast long shadows across walls covered in ancient carvings. Lee had been working for 36 hours straight, fueled by military-grade stimulants and the desperate knowledge that humanity needed answers before it was too late. These symbols here, they match what we found in the Gobi cave system. They all tell the same story. Visitors from beyond the stars who came in obsidian vessels that sailed the void. Lee traced the carved images of elongated ships. According to these records, they shared knowledge with our ancestors, then departed with a promise. What promise? Kang asked. That they would return when the stars aligned and darkness threatened the cradle. Lee's voice dropped to a whisper. These visitors, they took humans with them when they left. Volunteers who chose to journey among the stars. Kang frowned, adjusting her headlamp to better see the carvings. That contradicts everything we know about ancient human civilization. There's no way people from 5,000 years ago could have understood the concept of space travel. Lee pointed to another section of the wall. Look here. These aren't religious symbols as we initially thought. They're technical diagrams. Simplified, yes, but unmistakable. The carvings showed what appeared to be humans standing alongside taller, slender figures. Between them were drawings of what looked like machines, stars, and mathematical formulas. The ancient Egyptians couldn't have invented this, Kang said, her voice hushed with awe. Not just Egyptians, Lee replied. We found matching symbols on every continent. Different human civilizations, all telling the same story. The visitors came, shared knowledge, took volunteers, and promised to return. Lee moved to his field desk, covered in photographs and 3D scans from other dig sites. The dating is consistent across all locations. Approximately 3000 BCE, these visitors appeared worldwide. They stayed for roughly a century, then departed. The chamber shook slightly as distant explosions reached them even underground. The Vrex bombardment was getting closer. Why now? Kang asked. After 5,000 years. Lee pointed to a specific constellation carved into the stone. This star pattern only aligns this way once every 5 millennia. And look here. He indicated another carving showing what appeared to be crystalline shapes attacking Earth. They warned us about the crystal death that would come from the void. The Vrex ships are crystalline, Kang whispered. Exactly. These visitors knew the Vrex would eventually find Earth. They'd been preparing for this moment for 5,000 years. The satellite phone in Kang's pocket buzzed. When she answered, her expression shifted from confusion to astonishment. Professor, you need to see this. She pulled up a video feed on her tablet. This is broadcasting worldwide. Black ships have entered Earth orbit and engaged the Vrex. Lee stared at the footage, then back at the ancient carving of identical vessels. They kept their promise, he whispered. After 5,000 years, they came back. The video showed black ships moving with impossible grace through the Vrex fleet. Lee compared the footage to the carvings. The match was undeniable. We need to get this information to military command immediately, Lee said, already packing his equipment. These hieroglyphs contain tactical information about the Vrex. Their weaknesses, their command structure, everything the visitors knew. Another explosion, closer this time. Dust rained from the ceiling of the chamber. There's more, Lee said, pointing to a section they hadn't translated yet. According to this, the visitors weren't just aliens. They were humans, evolved humans from the future who had traveled back in time to prepare us. That's impossible, Kang said. Is it any more impossible than what we're seeing right now? Lee gestured to the video of the battle in orbit. The text is clear. The visitors were human descendants who had evolved after thousands of years in space. They came back to ensure their own timeline by giving their ancestors, us, the tools to survive the Vrex. A military officer rushed into the chamber. Professor Lee, Dr. Kang, we need to evacuate now. Vrex ground forces have landed 50 kilometers from here. Lee carefully packed the most important artifacts. There's a reason the Vrex targeted these archaeological sites first. They know these places contain information that could defeat them. As they hurried through the narrow passage leading out of the chamber, Kang asked, but why take humans with them? Why not just give us their technology? Because technology alone wasn't enough, Lee explained. They needed humans who would live among the stars, evolve differently, think differently. The text says our star children would develop abilities and perspectives that neither the visitors nor Earth humans could achieve alone. They emerged into the harsh Egyptian sunlight. The sky was filled with smoke and distant flashes of combat. Military transports waited to rush them to the secure facility beneath the Himalayas. As they boarded, Lee looked skyward. Somewhere up there, the descendants of those ancient volunteers are fighting for us. And you believe they've come back through time? Kang asked skeptically. The text is ambiguous, Lee admitted. It might be time travel, or it might be that they've been waiting, hidden, for 5 millennia. Either way, they're here now. The transport lifted off, banking sharply to avoid Vrex detection. There's something else, Lee said quietly. According to the texts, the visitors didn't just come to help us defend Earth. They came because they needed us as much as we need them. What do you mean? Humanity took 2 paths 5,000 years ago, one into the stars, one remaining on Earth. The star children evolved technology, physical capabilities, and cosmic understanding. But Earth humans developed something equally valuable. Which is? Lee looked at Kang, his eyes reflecting the fires burning across the ancient land below them. Creativity, adaptability, the chaotic, unpredictable brilliance that comes from struggling to survive on a single world. The texts say that only by reuniting the two branches of humanity can we defeat the Vrex permanently. As their transport accelerated toward the horizon, Lee watched black ships streaking through the atmosphere, elegant and deadly, the fulfillment of a promise made before the pyramids were built. The shuttle docked with Admiral Han's damaged defense platform, with barely a sound. Han stood in the airlock, flanked by her officers, breath held as the door cycled open. The figures that emerged wore sleek black armor, but when they removed their helmets, Han gasped. They were undeniably human, though something about their eyes and the way they moved seemed subtly different. "I am Commander Song Hyun of the Stellar Guardian Fleet," the leader said in perfect Korean, though with an accent Han couldn't place. "We've been monitoring the Vrex advance across this sector for decades." "You're human," Han stated, unable to hide her shock. Commander Song smiled. "We are the descendants of those who left with the visitors 5 millennia ago. We have evolved somewhat differently due to cosmic radiation and genetic adaptation to space travel. But yes, we are human." Han studied the newcomers carefully. There were 5 of them, each wearing the same black armor that seemed to absorb light. Their skin was pale, almost translucent, and their eyes were larger than normal, with irises that shifted color slightly as they moved. They stood taller than most Earth humans, with lean, graceful bodies that suggested both strength and flexibility beyond normal human limits. Lieutenant Kim stepped forward, his hand instinctively resting on his sidearm. "If you are human, why haven't you contacted us before now? Why wait until billions died?" Commander Song's expression remained calm. "Please, let us explain properly. The situation is more complex than you realize." Admiral Han nodded. "We'll talk in the briefing room. But I warn you, my crew is on edge. Any sudden moves will be met with force." Song nodded respectfully. "Understood, Admiral." As they walked through the damaged corridors of the station, Han noticed how the visitors moved with an eerie grace, as if the station's artificial gravity affected them differently. Crew members stopped and stared as they passed. In the briefing room, Song activated a small device from his belt. It projected a holographic display showing hundreds of star systems. The level of detail was far beyond anything Earth technology could produce. "The Vrex are conquerors who assimilate technologies and exterminate species they deem threats," Song explained. "Earth wasn't abandoned. It was being protected through obscurity while you developed independently." "Protected? Billions have died in 3 weeks." Lieutenant Kim protested. "And without intervention, your species would have been extinct in 4. Song replied calmly. "We've been fighting the Vrex across 17 star systems. Earth was kept secret until a Vrex scout discovered your radio transmissions. We came as quickly as we could." Han studied the holographic map. "These systems, they're all inhabited. Yes, the galaxy is teeming with life, Admiral. Earth sits on the edge of a cosmic war that has raged for centuries." Song adjusted the display to zoom in on Earth's solar system. "We've maintained a defensive perimeter 20 light-years out, diverting Vrex attention elsewhere. Until 3 months ago, when an automated scout detected your deep space transmissions." "Why did your ancestors leave with these visitors?" Han asked. "To learn, to grow, and to return when Earth needed us most." Song's eyes met Han's. "That time is now." One of Song's companions, a woman with silver-white hair despite her youthful appearance, stepped forward. "I am Medical Officer Jin Era. With your permission, I would like to show you something." Han nodded cautiously. Jin removed her glove and held out her hand. As they watched, her skin shifted color, matching the metal of the table she touched. "Our bodies have been enhanced, both naturally through evolution and deliberately through technology. We can adapt to environments that would kill Earth humans instantly." To demonstrate further, Jin picked up a broken piece of metal from the damaged room. Her fingers reshaped, becoming tool-like appendages that easily molded the metal as if it were clay. "Impossible," whispered Captain Ba. 5,000 years of evolution, adaptation, and technology. Jin explained, her hand returning to normal. "We are what humanity can become." Han's eyes narrowed. "And what do you want from us? Why come back at all?" Song exchanged glances with his team before responding. "Because despite our advantages, we're losing the war against the Vrex. We need Earth. We need what you've become." "What we've become," Han repeated skeptically. "You clearly have superior technology, biology, everything." "Not everything," Song said. "Earth humans develop differently. Your isolation forced you to solve problems with limited resources. Your creativity, your unpredictability, your emotional understanding. These are qualities our people have lost over generations of space travel and enhancement." Another of Song's team activated a different holographic display. This one showed Vrex ships being destroyed by Earth's seemingly primitive weapons. "Your railgun technology," Song explained. "Simple. Kinetic weapons. The Vrex adapted to energy weapons centuries ago, but physical projectiles at the velocities you've achieved. That was unexpected. Your nuclear missiles, considered obsolete by most spacefaring species, caused significant damage to their fleet because they never anticipated such primitive weapons would be deployed." Han considered this. "You're saying our primitive nature is an advantage." "Your different nature," Song corrected. "Not primitive. Divergent. Evolution in action. Our ancestors left Earth to ensure humanity would develop along two distinct paths. The ancient agreement was that when the two branches reunited, humanity would be stronger than either path alone." Lieutenant Kim looked unconvinced. "So you need our help to win your war. After billions died because you kept us in the dark." "The alternative was extinction for all humans," Jin said softly. "The visitors knew the Vrex would come eventually. They calculated Earth's best chance was to develop independently, with no knowledge of the wider galaxy, until you reached a technological tipping point." "Which you have," Song added. "Your quantum computing breakthroughs, your neural interfaces, these achievements signaled it was time. Unfortunately, the Vrex found you slightly before we anticipated." Han processed this information. "These visitors, who were they?" Song hesitated, then said, "They were us, Admiral. Time travelers from our future who came back to ensure humanity's survival across all timelines." The room fell silent. "That's impossible," Han finally said. "No less impossible than what you've witnessed today," Song replied. "Our ships use space-time manipulation technology derived from the same principles. The visitors came from a future where humanity had been all but exterminated by the Vrex. They altered the timeline by separating humanity into two evolutionary paths." Han looked at the battle displays, showing the ongoing fight above Earth. The black ships were turning the tide, but the Vrex still outnumbered them. "If what you say is true," Han said slowly, "then what happens now?" "Now," Song said, "we fight together. We share technology, strategy, and biology. Earth brings creativity and unpredictability. We bring experience and advanced technology. Together, we can do what neither could do alone, end the Vrex threat forever." Han extended her hand. "Then let's get started, Commander. Earth has little time left." Song clasped her hand, and for a brief moment, Han felt a strange connection, as if she were touching both her past and her future simultaneously. General Choi Min-jae had never expected to coordinate Earth's remaining military forces alongside humans from the stars, yet here he was, directing a desperate counteroffensive against the Vrex. The underground command center beneath Mount Baekdu had been designed to withstand nuclear strikes. Now it served as humanity's last strategic headquarters. The air was thick with tension and the smell of coffee as military personnel from every nation worked side by side with their starborn cousins. The Black Fleet has breached the Vrex formation, reported Colonel Yoon from Tactical Command. Their shield technology is adapting to Vrex weapons, but they're still taking heavy losses. On the massive display, Choi watched as the Obsidian ships executed maneuvers that defied conventional physics, their hulls absorbing energy blasts that would have vaporized Earth vessels. General, called Captain No from communications, Admiral Han is requesting permission to lead a boarding party against the Vrex command ship. The Star Children have provided armor and weapons. Choi hesitated only briefly. Approved. Coordinate with our remaining fighter squadrons to provide cover. He turned to Commander Song, who stood silently beside him. The Star Child had not slept in 3 days, yet showed no signs of fatigue. Your people are sure this boarding action can succeed. Song nodded. The Vrex never expect direct physical assault. Their species considers personal combat primitive and beneath them. It's why they rely so heavily on automated defense systems. And the armor will protect our people. The same technology that shields our ships, Song confirmed. It will adapt to most Vrex weapons, though not indefinitely. They'll have approximately 20 minutes before the adaptive properties begin to fail. Across the solar system, more black ships continued to emerge from spatial rifts, but the Vrex fleet still outnumbered them significantly. Earth's conventional weapons had proven surprisingly effective when coordinated with Black Fleet tactics. The Vrex had never faced the particular combination of technologies and strategies. Sir, Colonel Yoon's voice rose in excitement. Professor Lee has transmitted findings from the ancient records. The Vrex have a critical vulnerability in their neural command systems. It's why the visitors fled Earth originally. They needed a place to hide while developing countermeasures. General Choi smiled grimly. Transmit that data to Admiral Han's boarding party. It's time to end this. The tactical display showed 12 small craft departing from the Talon station, heading directly toward the massive crystalline structure of the Vrex command ship. Each craft carried a mixed team of Earth Special Forces and Star Children warriors. Han's team is away, Colonel Yoon announced. Black Fleet escorts are providing cover fire. On another screen, the feed from Admiral Han's helmet camera showed the interior of the transport. Earth soldiers checked their weapons nervously while the Star Children sat in perfect stillness, their eyes closed in what appeared to be meditation. Admiral Han. Choi said into his comm. Professor Lee's data indicates the Vrex command node will be at the center of the ship. It's a crystalline structure about 3 meters tall. Destroy it, and their fleet coordination will collapse. Understood. Han's voice came back. We're approaching the outer hull now. Breach teams ready. Choi watched as the transport ships approached the massive Vrex vessel. Black Fleet fighters swarmed around them, intercepting enemy fire. One transport erupted in flames, then another. 10 remained. They're within range of the hull, Song reported, initiating phase breach. Rather than physically breaking through the Vrex ship's exterior, the transports emitted a pulse that seemed to temporarily alter the molecular structure of the hull itself. The ships simply passed through the solid surface as if it were mist. Phase breach successful, Yoon reported. All remaining transports are inside the Vrex command ship. The helmet cameras now showed chaotic scenes as boarding teams deployed into the alien environment. The interior of the Vrex ship was a maze of crystalline corridors bathed in pulsing blue light. Strange, spindly machines scuttled along the walls and ceiling, converging on the intruders. Defensive systems activating, Han reported, her voice steady despite the danger. Moving to objective. Choi watched as Earth soldiers fired conventional weapons at the approaching machines. To his surprise, the simple bullets tore through the alien constructs easily. Their internal defenses are designed for energy weapons, Song explained. Your projectile weapons are bypassing their shields completely. The Star Children moved with inhuman speed and precision, their armor flowing like liquid as they engaged larger defensive constructs. One of them touched a wall interface, his fingers extending into the crystalline surface. I've accessed their navigational system, the Star Child reported. Command node is 2 levels down. Central chamber. All teams converge, Han ordered. General, we're proceeding to target. Suddenly, the main tactical display flashed red. New Vrex vessels entering the system, Colonel Yoon reported, his voice tight. A second fleet, much larger than the first. Choi felt his heart sink. They had committed everything to this assault. There was nothing left to face a second Vrex armada. How long until they reach Earth orbit? He asked. At current velocity, approximately 17 minutes, Yoon replied. Song stepped forward. General, we need to accelerate the plan. If Admiral Han can destroy the command node quickly enough, the confusion among the first Vrex fleet might delay the second fleet's coordination. Han, did you copy that? Choi asked. Affirmative, came the reply, punctuated by weapons fire. We're encountering heavy resistance. 2 teams lost. We're proceeding as fast as possible. The feed from Han's helmet showed her team fighting through narrow corridors, Earth soldiers, and Star Children moving with surprising coordination. The camera jolted as Han ducked an energy blast that melted the wall behind her. Almost there, she reported. Central chamber ahead. The camera view widened as Han's team breached a massive domed space. In the center stood a towering crystal structure, pulsing with energy. Around it moved tall, spindly figures, the first actual Vrex any human had seen in person. Those are Vrex command caste, Song said quietly. Their physical forms rarely leave their home systems. The aliens turned toward the intruders, their crystalline bodies reflecting the blue light. They had no recognizable faces, just faceted surfaces that shifted and reformed constantly. Han, the data from Professor Lee indicates the control node can be disrupted by introducing a specific frequency, Choi said. The Star Children with you should have the equipment to generate it. Understood, Han replied, covering fire. Earth soldiers opened fire, their projectile weapons shattering the crystalline forms of the Vrex. The aliens seemed genuinely surprised by the primitive attacks, their movements becoming erratic and defensive. 2 Star Children broke from the group, carrying a device between them. They raced toward the central crystal, dodging energy blasts from the remaining Vrex. Device in position, Han reported. Activating now. The tactical display suddenly flickered. For a moment, Choi feared they had lost the connection. Then he realized every Vrex ship in Earth orbit had simultaneously stopped moving. It's working, Yoon exclaimed. The Vrex fleet is uncoordinated. Individual ships are going dormant or moving erratically. Han's camera showed the central crystal beginning to fracture, lines of darkness threading through its structure. The Vrex in the chamber were collapsing, their bodies crumbling into piles of inert crystal. Command node destroyed, Han reported, her voice thick with exhaustion. Returning to extraction point. General Choi turned to the main display. The second Vrex fleet was still approaching, but without the guidance of the command ship, they would arrive disorganized and vulnerable. All Earth and Black Fleet forces, Choi ordered, prepare to engage the second Vrex fleet. Target their ships individually. Without central coordination, they won't be able to adapt to our combined tactics. As Han's team fought their way back to their transports, Choi allowed himself a moment of hope. For the first time since the invasion began, humanity had a fighting chance, not just for survival, but for victory. 3 months after what was now called the Liberation, Admiral Han stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed orbital station Unity. Below, Earth was healing, though scars from the Vrex bombardment remained visible from space. Quite a view, said Commander Song, joining her at the viewport. I never thought I'd see Earth from space again, Han admitted, much less see it free. She traced a finger along the reinforced glass, following the outline of Asia. New Seoul glowed at night, a testament to human resilience. The city had been rebuilt in weeks, not years, thanks to Starchild construction technology. The Southern Hemisphere took the worst of it, Han noted. Australia may take decades to recover fully. Song nodded. The integration of our technology with Earth's innovation is proceeding faster than anticipated. Your people have remarkable adaptability. Our people, Han corrected, different branches of the same tree. Yes, Song smiled. That's why Earth was so important to preserve. The visitors recognized something unique in humanity, a creativity and resilience they had lost in their own evolution. When they took our ancestors with them, it wasn't just to save us. It was to ensure human perspective would survive differently in two environments. Han watched as a group of children ran through the station's central garden. Earth children playing alongside the first Star Child youngsters to ever set foot on a planetary installation. The differences between them were already beginning to blur as medical treatments derived from Star Child biology helped Earth humans adapt to radiation and low gravity. General Choi's daughter has started the adaptation treatments, Han said. He was against it at first, but after her illness, the gene therapy saved her life. Song finished, and thousands like her. It's a beginning. Below them, in what had been the Atlantic Ocean, the first of the new deep space vessels was under construction, a hybrid of Star Child technology and Earth engineering that surpassed both. The Dawn Seeker, Han said proudly. My new command. The massive ship resembled the Black Fleet vessels in its sleek design, but incorporated distinctly Earth aesthetics. Curves where Star Child ships had angles, warmth where they had efficiency. Your engineers insisted on adding gardens and open spaces, Song said with a slight shake of his head. Highly inefficient use of volume. But essential for long-term psychological health, Han countered. Your people may have evolved beyond the need for green spaces and natural light, but we still need reminders of home. Song conceded with a nod. This is why the reunion of our branches matters. You see solutions we would never consider. A small group approached them from across the observation deck. Professor Lee walked alongside Dr. Kang and Lieutenant Kim, now promoted to captain. With them was Jin Era, the Star Child medical officer who had revolutionized Earth medicine in mere months. Admiral, Commander, Lee greeted them. We've completed translating the final set of Egyptian hieroglyphs. And, Han asked, the visitors left instructions for something called the convergence. Lee explained, excitement evident in his voice, a process by which Star Children and Earth humans can combine their genetic advantages without losing their unique strengths. Jin displayed a holographic model showing DNA strands intertwining in complex patterns. We believe this is the final stage of their plan, not just alliance, but true reunion of the two branches of humanity. Voluntary, of course, Dr. Kang added quickly. No one would be forced to undergo genetic modification. Captain Kim looked skeptical. And what would this convergence create? Some new species that's neither fully Earth human nor Star Child. Something better than both, Jin said simply. Beings with our adaptability and your creativity, your emotional depth and our physical resilience. Han studied the hologram. And you believe this is possible. We've already begun preliminary trials with volunteers, Jin confirmed. The results are promising. Song's expression remained neutral, but Han had learned to read the subtle shifts in his eyes. He was troubled. Commander, she prompted. The visitors spoke of a third branch, Song said quietly, beyond Earth humans and Star Children. They called them the Ascended. Lee nodded vigorously. Yes, the hieroglyphs mention them. Humans who achieved a state beyond physical form. We assumed it was metaphorical, religious language from primitive people trying to understand advanced technology. It wasn't, Song said. The Ascended exist. They've been watching, guiding from afar. The visitors were their emissaries. A silence fell over the group. You never mentioned this before, Han said. We weren't certain until we confirmed the translations, Song explained. The Ascended exist in a state beyond conventional spacetime. They saw multiple timelines, including ones where humanity was exterminated by the Vrex. So they changed history, Lee whispered, created a branch point 5,000 years ago. And they may do so again, Song added. The Vreks have been driven back, but they'll regroup eventually. They're not the only threat in the galaxy. Han turned from the viewport to the star chart displaying hundreds of inhabited systems. We have much to learn. And much to teach, Song added. The ancient promise has been fulfilled. When darkness comes from the void, we shall return with the light of 1,000 suns. But this is just the beginning. Together, they watched as the first test of Earth's new spatial drive sent ripples of blue energy across the construction bay. The Dawn Seeker's engines glowed with power never before harnessed by human hands. What if the Ascended were wrong? Captain Kim asked suddenly. What if all this, the separation, the reunion, was unnecessary? Jin smiled. Then we still found each other again. After 5,000 years, humanity is whole. Not yet, Han said, looking at the children playing in the garden. But we will be. Later that night, as Earth rotated into view below the station, Han stood alone on the observation deck. A faint shimmer in the air caught her attention, a distortion that seemed almost human in shape. I know you're there, she said quietly. One of the Ascended, I presume. The shimmer intensified briefly, then coalesced into a vaguely human form composed of light. Admiral Han, it said, its voice somehow both inside and outside her head. You have questions. Are we puppets in your grand design? Han asked directly. Did we ever have a choice? The luminous beings seemed to consider this. Choice is the one constant across all timelines. We saw possibilities, created conditions, but every critical decision was made freely, by Earth humans and star children alike. And now, what future do you see for us? Many futures, the being replied. Some glorious, some tragic. But for the first time, we cannot predict which path humanity will take. Your reunited species has become unpredictable. Han smiled. Good. The beam began to fade. We will be watching, Admiral. Not as masters, but as ancestors. Make us proud. As the Ascended vanished, Han turned back to the viewport. Below, Earth continued its eternal rotation. Above, stars beckoned. And on the horizon, the Dawn Seeker waited to carry humanity to its next chapter. Soon, they would step into the stars, not as refugees or followers, but as equals. The journey that began 5,000 years ago, with humans boarding alien vessels, was coming full circle. Only this time, they would travel the void in ships of their own making, carrying with them the strengths of both worlds. The end was just the beginning.